Hello and welcome to Inside Iraq. I'm Jassim Azawi. Americans are not comfortable being labeled as occupiers and colonialists. They say it runs counter to their history and values. Yet increasingly, historians and political commentators are talking about a new American empire. Critics of the Bush administration claim Iraq is the first jewel in the crown of an emerging American empire. They say oil is whetting the appetite of hawks and inducing them to tip the balance in favor of a classic empire-building ideology. But is the era of empire still alive and viable in today's world? If it is, which countries might next be targets for an American attention? And if it isn't, what is the likely end result of the American strategy?
The stars and stripes fluttering high in Baghdad. For many Americans, their flag is symbolic of the freedom and democracy which President George Bush promised for Iraq and the rest of the Middle East on the eve of the 2003 invasion of Iraq. Since the end of the Cold War, almost 2 decades ago, the rise of American military power has been unprecedented and unchallenged. While Americans may abhor being labelled as colonizers, they currently find their country occupying 2 far-flung countries, Iraq and Afghanistan.
What we see with the Bush administration is that the military aspect of American foreign policy, particularly in terms of the positioning of American forces, has gained far more primacy than it had had under previous American administrations. So we see the military exertion of blunt American power in relation to the Middle East.
Critics of the Bush administration claim Iraq is a forward operating base on the road to an emerging American empire. They claim the potential oil bounty from Iraq will whet the appetite of future hawks in Washington to repeat the exercise as oil reserves worldwide dwindle in the next few decades. Some Americans, like presidential candidate Senator John McCain, envision the possibility of America's presence in Iraq lasting for decades. Others believe this would run counter to American values of non-interference.
In rhetoric, American foreign policy has always been articulated in the name of democracy. In reality, American foreign policy has been designed to maintain and guarantee America's very real and very tangible and immediate security interests, which have often contradicted the spread and maintenance of democratic political systems.
But supporters say the US has the right to protect its political and economic interests, even if it means using its military might. Critics are, however, concerned that with the US being the only military superpower, such foreign policy inclination may be subject to abuse.
To discuss the myth and reality of the concept of an American empire, I'm delighted to welcome from Beirut British author and journalist Robert Fisk of the British Independent newspaper, and from Washington, D.C., Brad Blakeman, former senior staffer of President George Bush. Gentlemen, welcome to Inside Iraq. Robert Fisk, if I may start with you. The Americans, they tried their hand on a classic colonialism with the Philippines. It was their first dominion. They didn't like it. They immediately relinquished it. So why are we talking, why this term American empire is gaining such currency nowadays?
That's a pretty leading question, isn't it? Look, some months ago, actually almost a year ago, I was on a road south of Baghdad, more than a year ago, and the ground began to shake under my feet, and up the road came the biggest convoy I've ever seen in my life. Humvees, M1A1 Abrams tanks, Apache helicopters overhead, and I realized that 2,000 years ago I would have been a little bit more to the west, in Lebanon perhaps, where I am now, feeling the tramp of the Roman centurion's feet. And I think it's very easy to say that America invaded Iraq because of oil. I think it did. If the national product of Iraq was asparagus or carrots, I don't think the 82nd Airborne would have gone to Mosul. But I think also that an empire, and we had an empire, the British did, and the French did. I think that an empire has a visceral need to show military power. the thump of feet, the centurion's feet, the grind of the tracks of an Abrams tank.
Brad Blakeman, embedded in Mr. Fisk's answer is that desire for expansion and for building empire is almost a design. It was not a default, or it was not in response to some catastrophic events like 9/11. As if he's saying that was almost inevitable.
Well, Mr. Fisk is just being what he is, and that is he is a sympathizer and sensationalist, and he has theories that some believe to be true, and he expounds on those. But nothing could be further from the truth. America isn't a colonialist power. America doesn't seek to be imperialistic on countries. What we do is because of our power and because of our might and because of our ability to react, is we get called upon to use our forces, not only our human life, but also our treasure, to help others who can't help themselves. And that's what we did in Iraq. We were there because we were asked to go there
Brad Blakeman,
by the Security Council,
saying the Iraqi people and the Iraqi government?
We were there.
Are you saying the Iraqi people and the Iraqi government invited you to come and liberate Iraq and topple Saddam Hussein? Is that what you're saying? That's far from the truth.
The Iraqi
that was
the Iraqi people,
since 1998.
Wait a second. If the Iraqi people could have had a say under a brutal dictator, yes, they would have asked us to come and liberate them. What happened was Saddam Hussein violated over 14 Security Council resolutions. He threatened his neighbors and threatened the United States with weapons of mass destruction.
Brad probably wouldn't want me to come on his side. Listen, I think we need to have this discussion in a much wider context. I'm not a sensationalist, and I think Brad knows that, despite what he's saying on this program. I think that the attacks on 9/11, in which he still mourns a lost loved one, were an international crime against humanity, and we should have met it with justice. Unfortunately, the country we invaded, Iraq, your country, Mr. Jassim, happened to be for a long time an ally of the United States, in which many American politicians continued to support until it invaded Kuwait. It was okay when it invaded Iran, not when it invaded Kuwait. But I happen to think that the United States is a wonderful country, and I happen to think that Americans are great people. I don't think that your government represents your people. I don't think that they represent the goodness and kindness of your people. But I think you have a great tradition.
That's where you're wrong. Where do you think our...
No, Brad,
sir, where do you think our leaders come from?
I'm saying something nice about your country.
But
Can
wait
I
a
just
second.
say something?
I think
the United States is a wonderful country. Do you object to this?
We don't need backhanded compliments. We don't need backhanded compliments.
I'm not giving you backhanded compliments, Brad. I'm telling you the truth, and you don't want to listen to it.
Our leaders come from our people, from the ballot box.
Brad, I'm sorry. You have great people there, and you are when you are speaking about the American people, forgive me, Brad, I don't think you're representing the good Americans I know. Forgive me. I don't think you represent them.
Well, sir, you're wrong. Our leaders come from the great people who elect our leaders. And every 4 years or 8 years, we either re-elect or we get new leaders. And every 2 years, we elect a Congress. And every 6 years, we elect a Senate. So is some disconnection between those who are appointed and those who are elected? The fact is, the American people, the good people you're talking about, are the people who put people in office. I'd like to ask Brad, who is going to be the next
president of the United States? Would he like to tell me, Brad, who's going to be the next president?
John McCain is going to be the next president of the United States. John McCain will be the next president.
You don't represent the American people, do you?
No, that's what you're asking me. You're asking me my opinion, and I think that John McCain will be the next president.
I don't think you do. I mean, I see the television like you do.
I hate to disrupt this exchange between you gentlemen, but Brad, let me take you back to 1998. There was a letter signed by none other than Rumsfeld, Wolfowitz, Bolton, Elliott, and Armitage, asking President Clinton to pay special attention to Iraq and to Saddam Hussein, and to divert its policy to the removal of that regime. Iraq and the toppling of the regime was always in the cards.
It was not. I was in the administration. I was in these meetings, Jasmine. You are absolutely 100% wrong. Again, you're looking to tie threads together that just don't meet. I was there. I understand what went on. from firsthand experience, and there was never any talk of predetermination that we should go to war with Iraq. Iraq made their own fate. Saddam met his own fate. His kids made their own fate.
So if I might to ask you, Brad Blakeman, to state one reason for toppling Saddam and for invading Iraq, what would that be? Would it be oil, WMDs, human rights violations, forward bases? Just name one. What is it?
Well, there are a number of reasons. The most compelling, of course, is that he said he had weapons of mass destruction, that he wasn't going to stop his program, he wasn't going to let the inspectors in, and we couldn't tolerate that. We weren't going to believe him. We weren't going to be Neville Chamberlains and believe this guy and appease this guy.
It's interesting to see we're getting back to Neville Chamberlain in World War II again. I think we have to understand, as that great Israeli journalist Uri Avnery said, that the Second World War is over. Hitler is dead. We live in a new world, and we have to live in that world, and we have to have.
But learn from history, or you're condemned to repeat it.
No, it's not about that. I don't think the British need lectures on appeasement when your country spent 2 years of very profitable neutrality before they joined our side against Hitler. Thank you, Brad. But let's speak about now.
Well, if it wasn't for our country, your country would have been wiped out.
You made a mistake there. Excuse me, you made a big mistake.
No, I did not.
You remained under Roosevelt, under neutrality. Your country remained under neutrality, under Roosevelt, for 2 years before you joined us in the Second World War and helped us out.
We crossed an ocean.
Thank you so much.
We crossed an ocean to save your country. We were not attacked.
Pearl Harbor before you came in to help us. Thank you very much. We're grateful for your late arrival.
No, if it wasn't for the United States,
gentlemen, thank you
very
much.
Been under German
I'll take
domination.
a short break now. When we come back, I'm going to ask Brad Blakeman whether there is in this world a place for preemption and preemptive war. Stay with us.
As the surviving superpower at the end of the Cold War, the US could focus its assets in new directions, the future being up for grabs. Paul Wolfowitz, former US Deputy Secretary of Defense.